Hello and welcome to the last Monday with Marie for the year. So this is our last Monday. We're going on a holiday for Monday with Marie, not for Prime Alchemy, but for this show. And we got a lot of questions, so let's jump right into it. So our first question comes from Kate, and Kate says, "What's the biggest misconception people have about making a great facilitator?" I think about being a great facilitator. I think that's what she means by that. Well, Kate, I think the biggest misconception is that facilitators have all the answers. The role of a facilitator in a meeting, in a workshop, is actually not to have all the answers. It's in the name. What they do is they facilitate a conversation to allow for the participants to come up with the answers for themselves, to be able to think for themselves, to pose the right questions, to create the right atmosphere, to really be able for them to think for themselves. And that it's not about expecting the facilitator to have all the answers. Now, that's very different that if you are teaching or instructing someone, the expectation is that you know the material and then you're providing that material. But if you're facilitating a conversation, facilitating a meeting, the idea is that you are not the person with all the answers. Hope that helps, Kate. All right, we've got another one. This is from Sue, and Sue says, "How do you encourage quieter participants to engage without putting them on the spot?" Well, I love the technique that really comes from um, sort of sprint design, which is everyone working together alone. Giving people sticky notes and having them actually write out their answers so that everyone has an opportunity to stop and really think and write out their answers, and then having them post it on the wall or whiteboard or wherever you're posting it, and then allowing everyone to then read what they've written on their sticky, and then having everyone vote on that. So that way you get more quiet participants to actually be able to participate because everyone is doing it the same way. Everyone gets to vet and discuss their opinion, their thoughts in a way that doesn't feel like you're putting them on the spot, and also doesn't feel like they have to kind of be in the spotlight, because that's a lot of times what people are nervous about, is being in the spotlight. Another thing is creating activities that allow people to work in smaller groups is also a great way to help people who may be a little bit more quieter. Also, adding more time for reflection. So we have two types of people. We have people that process really quickly, and then people that need some time to process. And the truth is, even people who process quickly could use some time to think about their answer and process in that way. So adding more reflections to your workshops, to your programs, will help in terms of getting people out of the shell, giving people time to really think, because quieter people, it's not that they don't have answers, and it's not that they're not thinking about it. It's that they don't feel the need or the rush to quickly jump in. And if they're used to colleagues or other classmates or participants jumping in all the time, they will kind of use that as a little bit of a crutch. So you want to help with activities that allows for reflection time, and you want to sort of let people know that the expectation is that everyone is going to be heard, which is the other thing that I like to do in my workshops, is to tell people, look, everyone is going to be heard. Everyone is going to participate. So you forewarn in advance that people are going to be participating, and there's the expectation of that. And I will tell you, sometimes that expectation can be a really interesting situation. All right, let's do a couple more questions. What's one skill every facilitator should practice daily, even outside of work? And this comes from Laura. Laura, listening. That's the skill. Whether it's in conversation, whether it's while you're working as a facilitator, it's that listening skill. It's really important for you not just to listen to be able to answer, but listen because you're actually curious about the person and what they have to say. So I like to call that having curious conversations. And what I mean by that is that in those conversations, it's not just about thinking about what's the next great question, but it's actually being curious about what the person is saying. It's about thinking about what they're saying and not feeling the need to jump in with a retort or a question right away. Really engaging in a true conversation with the person that's based in, I'm curious about what you think, I'm curious about why you think it, and there's no judgment around it. That's a curious conversation. So I don't have to agree with you. I don't have to think you're right or wrong. I'm just curious, just interested in what you have to say. And that requires listening. And so that is, I think, the best skill that someone can have. All right. Okay, so this is a fun one. This comes from David. If facilitation were a recipe, what are the 3 ingredients you could never leave out? The first is you need to care. Like you need to deeply care about the experience that people are having and the experience that you're creating. So I would say care. Next, you need to be really flexible. Things happen in the course of facilitating a workshop, facilitating a meeting or a conversation that requires you to think on the fly and be really flexible with people. And I think the last one, which I talked about in Susan's question, is you need to have curiosity. Great questions, or even that act of really being curious about what the other person is saying, what they're doing, is really the secret sauce to being a great conversationalist, a great facilitator. And people feel when you're interested in them. And so I would say that's the main ingredient. So care, flexibility, and curiosity. Those are the 3. All right. So we have some fun questions because it's the last show. And so I thought it'd be fun to have some fun questions. And so I actually asked people this past weekend to just talk to me and give me some of their questions. And so this is what I got in terms of what's one thing you've learned from kids that you think adults need to hear more often? So I love this one. And this one is from Lisa. And there are a couple of things, but Lisa asked for one thing. And I think it's to have curiosity. Kids are curious about the world. They don't really understand the world. And so they're constantly questioning and being curious and having their own thoughts about the world that they want to share. And I think adults lose that spark of curiosity. And so that's the one trait that I wish adults had that kids have, which is that trait of curiosity. If you had a superpower to fix one workplace issue forever, what would it be? Honestly, it would be artificial harmony would be the thing that I'd want to fix in the workplace. We're so afraid to offend people. We're so afraid that we have to always be politically correct or that we're going to be canceled, that we don't have honest, real conversations with people that actually talk about the things that we're uncomfortable with, the things that we should be talking about with people. And so I think that's the thing that I would say I would want to fix if I had a superpower, is to fix that. Well, that's it for the questions. I hope those were helpful, and I will say happy holidays to everyone, and I will see you next year for the new episodes of Monday with Marie. So have a great one.